everyone, it's Sarah and welcome to my crochet channel. Today's video I'm going to show you how to make these super simple and elegant vintage candy cane covers. Now I first received one of these many years ago when I was in first grade. Our teacher handed each student in our class a big Santa Claus mug filled with candy, and one of these was inside of it. So I remembered that and thought, wouldn't it be fun to share that with you all? This is a free crochet pattern on my blog, and you can find that blog link down in the notes underneath this video. The first thing you're going to need is some candy canes. These are just your average size candy canes. They measure about 6 inches. You can get a box of 10 or 12. I picked mine up at Walgreens because they had them first this year. I'm going to make this one out of green, and you can use any worsted weight number 4 medium weight yarn. This is I Love This Yarn Sparkle. Some of the other ones that I've done, this red one is made out of I Love This Yarn Sparkle. This pink one that's a bright pink is made out of With Love Sparkle from Red Heart. And this silver one is made out of Karen Party. And so any of the yarns will work. Now I wanted to do all of mine in sparkle yarns. You don't have to use sparkle yarns. You can use any worsted weight number 4 yarn that you have on hand. It takes very little. I like to have a main color, and I'm going to do this one in green, and then I'm going to do the little bow in red sparkle. We're going to be stitching today with our H hook. This is a 5.00 millimeter crochet hook, and then you'll also need a needle to weave in those ends. All right, let's get started. We're going to begin with a slip knot, and then we're going to chain 32 chains. I've chained my 32 chains, and I'm going to begin in the second chain from the hook. There's our first chain, here's our second, and I'm going to stitch a slip stitch. Go in the chain, pull up a loop, and then pull that loop through the loop already on your hook. And we're going to place a slip stitch in each of the chains across. And because we began in the second chain from the hook, we're going to have 31 slip stitches. One slip stitch in each chain across. I've stitched a slip stitch in each of my chains, and I now have 31 slip stitches. We're going to chain 3 and turn our work. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to stitch a double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, skipping stitches. So here's our chain 3, counts as our first double crochet. We're going to skip the next stitch, and then we're going to double crochet in the next stitch. We're going to chain 1, we're going to skip the next stitch and double crochet in the next stitch. And we're making chain 1 spaces. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next. And see how those chain 1 spaces pop out, and that's where we're going to weave our candy cane through. And we'll repeat this all the way across this row. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next stitch. Chain 1, skip 1, double crochet in the next stitch all the way across. And this is the way that it should look. You should have 16 double crochets with your, this one doesn't have a chain 1, but the rest have a chain 1 in between. we're going to chain 1 and turn. And now we're going to form the shell stitches. And what we're going to do is we're going to stitch 3 double crochets right in that chain 1 space. 1, 2, and 3. Then in the next chain 1 space, we're just going to stitch a single crochet. Then in the next chain 1 space, we're going to stitch 3 double crochets. Then in the next chain 1 space, we'll just stitch a single crochet. And that's what we'll do all the way across. We'll stitch a shell stitch, single crochet, shell stitch, single crochet. And of course, our shell stitch is 3 double crochets. And we're stitching in the chain 1 spaces. So I'm stitching a shell stitch, which is 3 double crochets. Then I'm stitching a single crochet in the next chain 1 space. And we'll do this all the way across. Shell stitch, single crochet, shell stitch, single crochet. Now, when you get to the end, you should end with a shell stitch in that last space. Which is 3 double crochets, and then you're going to put your single crochet in that slip stitch from the previous row, and that's just going to bring it down so that it curves on the end. All right, and now we're done. We're going to tie it off and weave in the end. Grab my needle, thread that on, and just weave that down in. I want to make sure it's going to stay put because this is probably going to be put on and off the tree. And the nice thing about these is you can use them year after year. You can put them on packages, you can put them on stockings, put them on the tree, any decorations. And wouldn't it be fun to use them as place markers for a Christmas party? I always love to send my guests home with something to remember my parties and celebrations, or even just a Christmas meal. So they have something to remember. What a good time they had. Hopefully they had a good time. All right, so there it is. And you'll notice it does have a little bit of a slight curve because of those slip stitches. All right, let me grab one of these candy canes. And then I need to put a little bow. And I just cut off a piece of yarn that's Christmassy but a different color so that it can show. And I go ahead and I start at the top and I just weave that candy cane in and out of those chain 1 spaces. Okay, we want it to come up a little bit so it stays on, and then we just curve this around. Isn't that pretty? And then I'm always worried that the candy cane is going to slide out. So what I do with my ribbon is I come from the back like this with my hook, and I pull that to the front, and then I go around that that bar there we made with the double crochet and pull that to the front. See how it's across there? All right, now let's bring this to the front. There we go. And you can tie it on here. I think it looks better if we pull it around this bar as well. It's kind of up to you how you want to do it. And you can use ribbon instead of another piece of yarn. You can also use any kind of embellishment like a button or just a little sparkle that you want to hot glue on, or anything to add a little extra fun to your candy cane cover. There we go. There's my bow. Let's see if I can tie that bow a little better. It came undone. I like to do double bunny ears. There we go. All right, let's cut those a little bit so they're not so long. There we go. And there's our green candy cane cover. And it makes a fun thing to add to any of your Christmas and holiday decorations. Aren't they fun?